again. And my name is Doreen Apia, as I have already said. With me here, we have Dr. Nkem Osigwe, Director of Training and Capacity Building, AfLibWk. We have Stanley Boachi Echampon, Research Coordinator, AfLibWk, and then my humble self. And the resource person I'll introduce her to you later. The topic for today is open knowledge, Wikimedia projects, and the African library sector. The purpose of this webinar is to examine the role of Wikimedia projects in opening up knowledge through the prism of critical librarianship. It will also throw more light on the power structures behind the creation and dissemination of knowledge, as well as how the global schemes for organization and categorization of knowledge contributes to the near invisibility of African knowledge. We are all aware that although we think we have a lot of information on Wikipedia, when you check the statistics, you realize that Africa is at the bottom. There is not much information on Africa, and this is the reason why AfLibWk, for the past 4 years, have decided to bring together librarians so that we can tell our own stories on Wikipedia through editing and adding citations on articles on Africa. And this year is not an exception. We are in the 4th year, and so this year's African Librarians Week, dubbed the AfLibWk, is the AfLibWk 4.0. Our webinar will also provide pathways for macro changes in the organization of knowledge and the role of African national libraries in driving the change. This morning, our speaker, or this afternoon, our speaker is Sylvia Eunice Guterres de la Torre. I don't know if I mentioned your name well, forgive me if I butchered your name, but I have tried. Sylvia is currently the Senior Programs Officer of Wikimedia Libraries in Wikimedia Foundation. She is the Digital Humanities Librarian at El Colegio in Mexico City. She is also a Wikipedia and free knowledge enthusiast. Sylvia led the Wikipedia Academic Library Liaison Project, which was founded by the Wikimedia Foundation to increase the number and quality of Wikipedia articles on Mexican figures, culture, and history. Under her leadership, academic libraries created more than 100 articles and improved more than 600 using library collections and databases. Sylvia is also the co-founder of Our Ladies CDMX, the Mexico City chapter of Our Ladies.
Hello, Doreen.
Yes, a global community.
Hello, Doreen.
Hello, Doc. Hello, I can hear you. Hello, Doc. So that is Sylvia.
Hello, Doreen, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, Dr. Nkem, I can hear you. Hello, Doc, can you hear me? Wow.
Doreen, please go ahead. I'll meet you.
All right.
Okay, so.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So that is for Sylvia, but before she comes, Dr. Nkem will come and tell us a little bit about what is going on or about anything she wants to say. You know, she is the director. So, Doc, you are welcome.
Dr. Nkem has dropped off.
Yes, okay.
She's back.
Doc. Hello, Dr. Nkem. Hello, Dr. Nkem. Oh, I don't know if she can hear me.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Please, you can go ahead.
I can hear you.
Please go on.
All right. Thank you very much. Apologies for that. My internet is going all shades of crazy. It's dancing a willow, but that is business. So Thank you, Doreen, and again, we welcome everyone here. There was a story I told somebody this morning. I told the person and some others that World War I was fought and that Africans were a part of it, but nobody ever mentions them because they say that they were mainly potters, they were doing menial tasks, and that, history does not celebrate them. But that does not mean that they were not in the war. So why am I starting with this story now? There's a global body of knowledge, and mostly African stories, African history, who we are, our meanings, the things that we've done or we are doing or that we want to do, they are hardly ever there in this global body of knowledge. And then along comes this thing they say, this open ecosystem. Knowledge is being opened up, so that everybody can access information, knowledge. Everybody can see what the other person has or knows. And then actually I looked at it and said, well, this looks good. But, getting into it, it wasn't, oh, let's just start like that. Wikimedia Foundation presented that opportunity for us to get into it this way. We are working with other partners too, but this one is all about what we've been doing with this foundation. And then they are helping us to, all these resources we have in our libraries, they are helping us to make them more visible. When this thing started, this is the 4th year. When it started, it was like, what are you going to do in African Librarians Week? What do you hope to do? How is it going to happen? It was difficult, but at the end of the day, that first time, from statistics, the OneLib, OneRef in May had almost 300% increase, 300% increase, yes, more than that, because of the participation of African librarians. And it was people like you and me who made it happen. All of us, we made it happen. So don't count yourself out or say, let's just go and hear anything they do is okay, no big deal. I can tell you that is really a big deal. It was because of this that I won an award, the first time an African librarian would do that. Wikimedian of the Year, newcomer. It was because of this again that we were part of the Wikimedia Plus Libraries Conference Summit in Ireland, because we were into this and we are still into this. So as we are here today, please learn. How do you do it? Learn. The ones you don't know, ask questions. Don't feel, hey, somebody will say, I don't know. Just ask questions, feel free. Write in the chat box. Then participate. When it's time, if they show us how do you get onto the dashboard, just do it. You don't have an account yet, we'll help you. And then of course, excel, because there are wonderful prizes to be won this time around. But most of all, the important thing is knowing that as a librarian, this should be where you belong to. Working on Wikimedia projects, being a part of the OneLib, OneRef campaign is what you should be doing. OneLib, OneRef campaign is that campaign that every librarian should be able to add one citation to Wikipedia. We will extend it this year, but Stanley will talk more about it, and Sylvia too. But the important thing is that everybody knows that these Wikimedia projects, they are open. Anybody can edit, anybody can write there. And then we as the librarians, let me put in quotes, police people there, we'll go and check, oh, this one is not right. This one is not, it doesn't have a citation, a reference, and we add. So that is really the basic thing about what we are going to do. But because we've done this for 3 years now, and this is the 4th year, we are adding new things. And those new things is like adding swag, adding some bits, accessories to your dressing to make you look more beautiful. So that's what we are going to do this year. And I'm excited, quite excited that we are growing in this. that we are making impact, that all over the world, everybody knows that African librarians, we do this in May. And also this year, we are going to extend, it used to be just 1 week, but we are going to have, I think it should be up to 10 days or 12 days or so, because we want more things, because there are more things to be done. There are so many things to be done. So I'll hand you back to Doreen to now bring on Sylvia. And thank you, Sylvia, for being here. Thank you. And let me not forget to say this. Sylvia will be with us at the AfLibWk conference. And we are really happy about that, because this will be like the first conference that she's attending since she started her job at the library, whatever that Doreen is going to explain. So we are happy that she's coming to Africa in May to be with us physically. And I hope that quite a number of us will join then, because it will be a pre-conference thing and it will be open, but Stanley will share more about that. So thank you very much. Doreen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nkem, for the insightful welcome address. So it's time now for Sylvia to share her screen and then come on board. While Sylvia is doing that, like Dr. Nkem said earlier on, please, if you have any question, kindly click on the Q&A button below your screen and type it there, and Sylvia will answer all your questions. Hey, let me give you a gist. This lady is loaded. Let's learn more from her. She has all the knowledge we need to make our one ref or our African Librarians Week a better enhance on what we've been doing. Thank you very much. Sylvia, you are welcome.
Thank you so much for that warm welcome, and also for that opening lines, because that story, it's the reason why I'm here. That story that Dr. Kem shared about Africans participating in World War II, but not being visible, is what I want to talk about today. And please, as Dr. Kem said, if you have any questions, ask in the chat and I'll be looking at it as well. So don't feel afraid of interrupting. There's no such thing. I'm here so we can all learn together. Now, this is also Doreen was very kind to share what we will be covering today. It is a lot. But then I have selected some ideas, and I hope these are interesting for you as well. Of course, I wanted to do some introductions, but we already have done some, so I'll go a little bit faster on that. Also, I will talk about the Wikimedia Foundation, a little bit about its mission, its vision, so we can see how I think now you're looking at what I'm talking about. So I was saying we will go through some brief introductions, Wikimedia Foundation, what is the challenge of power structures, critical librarianship, and what we can do together. And just a final wrap up. So first, allow me to start, like Dr. Kem did, with a story. This why I'm a little librarian, because I was a Wikipedian. So this is why I was like, who are these people? Who are these people that are talking about Coatepec? I I want to know how they managed to do this. And this is how I learned about Wikipedia. I learned that it was a community of volunteers that were sharing information with sources, as Dr. Kem said, with library sources that they had at hand, making them more visible in one of the pages that is the 4th or 7th, depending on the country, most visited website. One of the most visited websites was an encyclopedia. That blew my mind. And it was an encyclopedia without advertisement that I could just access and learn and click away and just go deeper and deeper in stuff. But then let me tell you another story. I'm also here because of this. I had a dear friend, Taiwo, who was talking with me. He comes from Nigeria, and he was talking with me about fufu. And he could just see my face of not understanding what it was. And he could not believe I did not know about fufu. Not knowing about fufu is like not knowing about bread. It is such an essential element in the cuisine that he was just baffled. So what I did is that I ran to Wikipedia. I was like, why I don't know about this? And I learned some things, yes, in Wikipedia, but also being a librarian as I am, I went through all the references because I was like, I need to know more about this. This seems very relevant. This seems like it's sustaining the lives of many people. And sadly, what I found is that while there are many references, 25 to be concrete today, none of them was from books published in an African country. None of those countries that consume fufu. There was none of them from Cote d'Ivoire, from Nigeria, and from Central African Republic. So I was wondering why do I have to learn about fufu from someone who lives in the United States? It's, of course, some of those books are from people from the diaspora, and that's also interesting. But I thought there might be references that were produced in Africa and that we're missing. And this is the other reason why I'm here. So these are my two stories. One of them of why I joined, like Dr. Kem said, adding references, like adding something nice to your librarian dress, because you're doing the job that you are bound to do, to open knowledge, right? And this is why I also wanted to know a little bit more about you. I saw in the chat that we have people from Rwanda, from Nigeria. But if you don't mind, I also want to understand if you have been involved in Wikimedia projects in the past, but moreover, like, what do you imagine in the future? What do you wish you could do? So good day, Daisy. I see you in the chat. Good day, everyone. I really want to learn from you. If you have done projects in the past, or if you planned in the future, what would they look like? I see we have people from Kenya, from Uganda. So I really want to learn more about you. I see there are people that don't have an account yet. And let me recommend the website AfLibWk prepared for all of you, because it has all the instructions of how to make an account, how to search for references. So it's really something. I see we have people, Ngozi Stella from Nigeria, and someone joining from Rwanda and Gambia. I welcome you. And if you have the time, maybe think a little bit about this, but tell me if you have involved with Wikimedia projects before. And if not, how do you imagine you will in the future? Maybe after this talk, you will have more ideas. And hello, people from Obiama, Nigeria, Agatha Ujunwa from Nigeria. Good day, everyone. In Namibia. Let me tell you a little bit about the Wikimedia Foundation. So if you know Wikipedia, you might know that the organization that is supporting the infrastructure and the people working for that infrastructure is part of the Wikimedia Foundation. And this Wikimedia Foundation has a vision, which is imagine a world in which every single human being can freely share in the sum of all knowledge. That's our commitment. That's the vision, not only of the Wikimedia Foundation, but of the Wikimedia movement. That is the people, the volunteers that write Wikipedia and that share knowledge in the other projects that we will talk about. I see already in the chat that people are telling about the knowledge they have of editing, which is thanks to AfLibWk. So I'm really happy about that. And I will take a look at all the other answers you share. So please do, please do. So that's the vision. It's a huge vision. And the way, so that's what we want to achieve. And the way we want to achieve this is to empower and engage people around the world to collect and develop educational content under a free license or in the public domain, and to disseminate it effectively and globally. So there are many Wikimedia projects. Wikipedia is one of them, but we also have Wikimedia Commons, where we share images, videos, audios, all this type of media. Wikidata, where we share linked open data. I will also talk about this. And Wikisource, where we also share like documents and books that are under a free license and so on. So there are many others, as you can see. There's Wikibooks, Wikiversity, etc. But I'll talk more about these four that you see now. And what I want to share with you is that we have this amazing vision, this amazing mission, but the reality is what Dr. Kem said. Like many other places in the internet, when you look at what are the places that are being covered, talked about, it's mostly Europe. This is slowly changing. As you can see, there are some more light in Mexico, for instance, and there's some light appearing in the east coast of Africa and South Africa and Egypt. But still, there's so that Wikipedia is made from free contributions. And when you look at the contributors that made more than 100 edits, or did more of 100 edits last month, you can see how little contributors are coming from Africa. And this brings us to the second, third point, the challenge, the power structures. Why is this? And I'm going to talk about three of them. There are many, but there's not time to address all of them. And not even this I'm going to cover completely. But of course, we have a problem of internet access. So when we look at the map of mobile broadband internet penetration in 2012, we see that there are some countries that have more challenges to access the internet, but also that there are some countries that have challenges paying the unbelievably high cost of broadband. I don't know if anyone here has an idea of, for instance, how expensive it is to enter the internet in Botswana. But on average, according to Statista, it's $15 US dollars. It's a lot. I think it's almost 4 times what it costs in Mexico. So no wonder why we don't have that many editors from Botswana. Still, there is a user group, a community user group in Botswana who are doing amazing things. So it's just, there are these structures that I don't think we will be able to combat completely, but it seems like there are groups that are organizing to overcome these power structures. And we will talk about how we can do this together, libraries and the Wikimedia Foundation. There's another power structure that it's very difficult to address, which is a linguistic power structure. So languages in the media, 7%, just 7% of the world's languages are in published materials, and even less are online. Yet 75% of users are from the global south. So we have this great barrier. So little languages are recorded in published materials, but even less are online. And this even less online is one of the challenges I want to talk about today and what we can do about it. And the third power structure I want to touch today is an epistemic problem, the geopolitics of knowledge. This is a work I did during the Summer School of Science. I took all the journals that are in Web of Science, and I compared them with the ones that are in Cielo. So Web of Science, as you may know, is a database mostly of journals that are under a paywall. And this is what many librarians have been using as what knowledge is, what research looks like. Web of Science has a lot of credit. Cielo, on the other hand, is a database of open access journals, and it's not as considered as Web of Science when we are talking about what research is, but the picture they portray is very different. As you can see in Web of Science, it seems like knowledge only comes from Spain, a little bit from Mexico, Brazil. But when you consider Cielo, then you see that knowledge is produced in other countries such as Chile, right? Or Argentina. So it's a different picture. And it's kind of the same when we're talking about African knowledge. So if you go to Web of Science and you look for Zimbabwe, you activate journals from Zimbabwe, you get one. If you go to African Journals Online, on the other hand, you get 13 journals, many of them open access. So, okay, we have these barriers. We have linguistic, epistemic, we have internet access barriers. And what does this have to do with critical librarianship? I won't go so much in detail because there's already this amazing keynote by Dr. Kem. She shared this in the Wikimedia Plus Libraries Conference in Ireland. And I really much hope many of you who have joined today will be in the next edition, next year, 2024, of this conference. And I really liked this. I couldn't be there, but fortunately, she shared it in Wikimedia Commons. And what she said there, she said many things, but I'm just going to talk a lot about some of them, is that she shared 2 types of being a librarian. On the one hand, we have this traditional, I don't know if you know this reference, but Gollum is a character in The Lord of the Rings, and he's obsessed with a ring. He wants to protect it because it's his treasure. And there is this type of librarian that it is just hoarding the information, like, no, this is our treasures in the library. They are very important. Let's keep them, right? But then they are not seen by the world, by the larger public. But then we have other librarians like Anne Bethel Spencer that have more of the activist librarians in them. They think, oh, this is very valuable information. It needs to be shared. The world needs to know, because when information is shared, then change happens. And it did. So because of these two types of librarianship, she talked about how the second type of activist librarianship is connected with critical theory. And what this moment means, this connection between librarianship and critical theory, is that we start interrogating the resources, not only the resources, but the processes and the services. And we're not just interrogating because of fun, of curiosity. It's because we want to find out what hinders users from enjoying full access to knowledge. This is what I want to talk about today. So we already talked about 3 things that are hindering users from enjoying full access to knowledge. But then what can we do? And moreover, what can we do together? So we talked first about internet access, which is a huge challenge. And it's not a challenge that libraries are unfamiliar with. This is also a problem for libraries. Yet there are already, and this is information from 2010, so I'm hoping the picture has changed a bit. There are already some institutions which have high bandwidth capacity. So libraries can be this hub, this place where people can access internet, right? The University of Botswana seems to have, at least in 2010, good internet access. The University of Djibouti had also good internet access. So maybe we can challenge that barrier of cost. I see that this is very true. Internet cost is also in southern part of Africa. So I saw that in the chat. But maybe libraries can challenge that. Maybe libraries, there's also this other paper that talks about countries like Kenya, Cameroon, Nigeria, Senegal, South Africa, and Tunisia, who have made some significant moves in internet connectivity. So maybe we can look at these examples and learn what did they do to move forward, and also move the agenda, because it seems that even though in paper, some of the policies say that they're looking for better internet, enhanced internet connectivity, not many countries are implementing that is in paper. So we as the Wikimedia Foundation are also eager to participate with you, with your activism, to make this possible. So there's a group looking at policies, and Siski Putz, it's a colleague in the Wikimedia Foundation who is moving forward this agenda. So let's talk about how we can make this together. And although it doesn't seem so inspiring when you look at the numbers, this is another report from 2013. I want to concentrate on the bright side. I want to see the glass half full, even though it's 35% full. I want to look at those examples. I want to learn from you. Who are this 35% of libraries that have 75% or over of their computers connected to the internet? Let's look at those examples, what they do, what happened, so they have better internet access. And yes, half of them stated that connectivity was poor. So the numbers are not great, but maybe 10 years after this has changed a little bit. I wish if anyone knows of another study that looks at this picture in more recent years, I would love to know. But let's learn, what did they do? And let's fight that fight together. This is just so you know, this information from this report comes from 70 libraries that were interviewed. And as you can see, English-speaking libraries are better represented than from other countries. So you have to keep in mind this bias of this survey. Now, what is the Wikimedia Foundation doing for internet access? So there is people, there are our patrons, the people who would possibly use libraries, are also asking for this access to Wikipedia, for instance. It's a very moving story. If you search for it in YouTube, it's an open letter for free access to Wikipedia in South Africa. And these are students asking internet providers to let them access Wikipedia for free on their phones. You can read also more about this story in diff.wikimedia.org, which is the Wikimedia Foundation's blog. And this could be seen as part of a larger movement, which was called Wikipedia Zero, and which was discontinued in 2016 because there was not so much awareness of Wikipedia in many countries, for instance, in many countries in Africa. So it wasn't the best strategy, they thought, at that moment. But if this happens to be a good strategy in the future, let me know. Let's talk about this, because it was a program, a 6-year, 10-year program that partnered with 97 mobile carriers in 72 countries to provide access to Wikipedia to more than 800 million people. So this is something we can fight for this together. We have done in the past. So this is something we can talk about. There's also another option, which is very interesting, and it's Key Weeks. I don't know if you know about this initiative, but basically it's an initiative that can compress entire websites and make them fit in a USB, basically. Or and you can install, for instance, all Wikipedia in an Android device or in a Linux computer, you know, like in different devices, or you can even create a hotspot. So you can just install all Wikipedia and even other contents such as TED Talks and Wikivoyage and EduRed. So many other resources. And you can provide access, even with no internet, to all these resources. The Wiktionary, for instance, this multilingual dictionary that is also taken care of by the Wikimedia Foundation, another amazing project, they can all be shared with KiWix. And actually, this has been something that has already been implemented in Ghana. So already more than 700 students were trained to use KiWix and access, without internet access the Wikipedia. And KiWix was installed in almost 400 devices. So this is something that was beneficial for more than 100,000 students. So as libraries, if you want your library to have KiWix, also get in touch. Let's talk about this. Let's challenge the barrier of internet access. There's another barrier we talked about, which is the linguistic barrier. And as we said, very little contents in other languages that are not colonial languages exist in the internet. But libraries are challenging that. So this is an example of how in South Africa, they are digitizing materials in Xhosa. And this is making the internet a space where mother language speakers of Xhosa can access the works of authors like Samuel Edward Krumaqwi. And this is also something we can partner because also the Wikimedia Foundation has moved forward this project in which Indonesian volunteers are transcribing and digitizing more than 20,000 indigenous manuscripts. So now people in university programs, young people, are learning to type in their own script using a custom-built on-screen keyboard. And this is done in Wikisource. So if this is something that is interesting for you, if your library has content in indigenous languages and you want to make them accessible, you want them to make them an educational resource, let's talk about this. Let's talk about how we can work together. I wanted to share with you, and I don't know if this will be shared. I think you are looking at my query. And I'm glad this is interesting and good for you. I'm so very glad, and I'll share my email at the end so we can keep talking about this. But also I will share the campaign that AfLibWk is moving forward that was already talked about, because really we can all be part of this. So what you're looking now is at a query. So Wikisource, as I said, is this website where you can find documents that are available, that have a license that allows us to share it on the internet. And what I did here is that I asked Wikidata, which is the linked open data initiative, to tell me all the authors who were born in a country that it's part of the African Union that have documents on Wikidata. So here I'm looking, and it's not very much, actually. There are not many, and they are all in English, right? But imagine if we could search for freely available text in Hausa, in Igbo, Yoruba, in Xhosa, right? So this would be amazing. This would be something that libraries and the Wikimedia Foundation could do together. Let's have more authors, even here in English, of Ghana, for instance. Here we only have one, I think. So let's make this better. Let's make it more accessible. And imagine how nice students being able to read works that were written by authors from their countries, right? From Ethiopia and so on. So this is something that could be done. I'm going to share the slides so you can have access to this and take a look. But also we could reduce language bias by supporting, as libraries, we can support Wikipedias in small languages. So what we're looking at here is the Wikipedia in Farafare, also known as Gurene, which is spoken in Ghana and Burkina Faso. And our resources could support Wikipedias in these languages. We could also connect with other resources. So there's this amazing project called Lanfrica, which is connecting all African languages resources that are available. So we can make these connections. Librarians were very good at filtering, at finding more resources. So that would be, yes, I could do the query live with you later, of course. And here's another query. I think the last one I shared is a little bit more complicated, so I won't go through this in detail, but basically you can take it as it is, and you could search, for instance, you could just change this line here that you see, line 9. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And you could write FR, for instance, to look at all the works that are from someone who was born in a country which is part of the African Union. And now here you would search for French Wikisource. So in French Wikisource, sorry, that should say Wikisource like that. And you can run this query as well. So you don't need to understand all of this. You can just know what happens in each one of these parts and make little changes and run the query. You'd also change the language of the labels here to French. So here are the works of authors born in the African Union whose works are in Wikisource. So that's that one. I hope that's useful, Saiwar. And Now, the other query I wanted to share with you, because we were talking about how to support small language Wikipedias. So if you search for all the things in Wikidata which are in Gurene, which is the language we were talking about before that already has its Wikipedia, it's sad to see we only get 20 results, and most of them are just names. So we don't have any books, journal articles, stories, videos that are in Gurene, but we could model those elements in Wikidata. We could share them to the world, and most importantly to Gurene speakers, so they can make their Wikipedia better. And as I said, we don't need to understand the whole query. Here, if you only change, instead of Gurene, which was this QID, and I can show you that you can search for what is the QID of a language by searching in Wikidata and just taking this ID. So any language you want, for instance, we can search for Igbo, right? That's the language. This is the QID. Now I'm going to do an example with Hausa. This is the QID for Hausa. So if we search Wikidata, we do find a scientific journal that is written in Hausa. And we also find other works that are written in Hausa. So this is very exciting. Now the Wikipedia in Hausa, users and editors of Wikipedia in Hausa can go here to Wikidata and search which materials they could search for. And you can add more materials that are in your library and model them so people can find them, right? So if you have materials, I'm sorry, that was not linked. If you have materials in your library that are written in Hausa, you can model them in Wikidata, and so that other editors or other speakers can find them. This is a cookbook written in Hausa, for instance. And here's the OCLC control number. So if your library had a control number, or if you work in a national library and you have a control number like OCLC has, you can link it to your catalog. So this is what Dr. Kem and Doreen were mentioning before, of the role that national libraries could play. Because sadly, as you can see, well, this is a book that you can find in Northwestern University in the United States, or in Leiden University in Holland. But yes, we want to learn about more books that are in different languages and that people can access in their countries. So this is an example of another thing we could do together. Now, you don't have to do it alone. There is a lot of problems with working with smaller or minoritized languages, but there's already a great group of people who are willing to help. There's even this report of barriers experienced by contributors to small Wikipedias. So if you want to engage with this, it will be hard, but you won't be alone. Now, we talked about internet access. We talked about linguistic bias. Now let's talk about these epistemic inequalities. And as we shared before, there are 13 journals in the African Journal Online database. But when we do a Wikidata query of which journals that have an African Journals Online ID are out there, when we look for that, we can only find 9 of those journals. So there's information missing in Wikidata about all these journals that are out there that could be relevant to get information about Africa from Africa. And not just about Africa, but about the world, really. Because in Africa, there's been research being done about COVID, about many diseases that are affecting the whole world. So yes, this would be a way of making it more visible. If you work in a university that has a journal, you could work together with that journal to make it more visible. We as librarians, we're experts of adding metadata, so we can work together and make this information more visible. I really recommend this presentation by Ursula Oberst in Wikidata 2019, which is called African Studies in Wikimedia Projects, and which is also available in Wikimedia Commons, as is the conference of Dr. Kem I talked about before. And the reason why I'm recommending this is because she's not only like, yes, let's add more journals to Wikidata, but she's saying, let's add information about the subjects that are treated in these journals. So she has an example of how powerful it is when we model, for instance, a journal article, and we model what it is about. What is this journal article about? For instance, here is an amazing list of journal articles about African proverbs. So here in this database, which is unlike any other database, you can take a look at all the journal articles that are about African proverbs. And this is possible only because here, this information was modeled in Wikidata. And actually, this journal article was published in a scientific journal that, that was published in Africa. So here we're making information from Africa available online. And this same librarian, Ursula Oberst, has many YouTube videos I really recommend you to look at. And she gives us instructions of how to import scholarly articles to Wikidata using Zotero. So how we can import all that data directly to Wikidata. And there's also this amazing chapter written by colleagues from Brazil who did the same. They added all the journal articles from the Anais do Museu Paulista to Wikidata. And they also explain, so if you're not much about videos and you rather see it in a written form, this is also available. The whole book, it's a book about academic libraries and Wikipedia, and actually all the Wikimedia projects like Wikidata, and it's available online. So you can just access these instructions. They tell you step by step what you need to do to import all the journal information you have to Wikidata. Of course, I have also played my part in this. And as we were speaking, it would be nice to have the books that are written in Hausa or Xhosa or other languages. And I also did it's a 1 hour long video of how to add books to Wikidata. But you can look, I mean, I did some reasons of why you would like to do it. And only, I think it's the last 20 minutes, it's where you learn how to do it. So you don't have to watch the whole video. If you are already convinced you want to add books, you can just look at the last minutes of the video. And this is actually, this epistemic inequalities can be changed through nice campaigns such as Every Book Its Reader. So what Every Book Its Reader is doing, it's moving us librarians to add to Wikipedia information about books so that other people who are interested can learn about it. So for instance, what I did during this campaign is I added the Wikipedia article about Amandla, which is a 1980 novel by South African writer Miriam Tlali. And the reason why I did this is very much related with what Dr. Kem was saying at the beginning. This is one of the most iconic novels about the Soweto Revolt and Massacre in 1976. And even though it's written by the first Black African writer in South Africa, Miriam Tlali, this book was not in Wikipedia. And we can change that, right? So I think this is a very nice thing to do. And absolutely, one of the things you should join is the African Librarian Week, which is already in its 4th edition. It has a lot of webinar series like this one, and has the beautiful motto of African knowledge to the world. You librarians from Africa, you're gonna do an amazing thing. You're gonna change what we know, what people like me can learn about Fufu, but also about so many other stories that you have to share. So please, let's reduce together these epistemic inequalities, adding references from Africa about Africa, but also from Africa about the world. Let's look at all the beautiful journal articles that are in African journals online, which is also part of AfLIA, that talk about fufu. There's so much research about fufu that needs to get more attention. Let's learn about it. But also let's be bold. Let's not only talk about the references that are in written form. Here are two beautiful examples of how an audio, this was an interview they did with a local narrator about festivity in Pachimalco, Mexico. And this audio, this interview with El Chivo de Pachimalco, who is a personality, a local narrator, this interview, oral knowledge, was integrated into the article because it was, it was of good quality and it was an interesting interview that adds more information, that it's not stored in a written form. It's stored in the voice of this local narrator. And the same can be said about this other article. So here in Vales Weri Odia, which is an article about this language, we have a beautiful interview with a speaker of this language. And actually, this has been already happening in Nigeria, for instance. There's a great collection of videos of people talking in their native languages with great quality, videos made with great quality. This was a project that did the group of Wikimedians in Nigeria. And these videos can also enrich the information we have about these languages in Wikipedia. So to wrap up, I shared with you an amazing vision, a vision that moves many of the people who have joined the Wikimedia movement, like I did when I was looking for more information about Coatepec, Veracruz, my little town. But I also showed you how this world is so biased right now, how this world is not complete because it's lacking people like you. We also shared many of the barriers to get there. They're economic, they're linguistic, they're epistemic. But there are also people challenging those barriers. There are our patrons, our students going to the streets and saying, we want a change. There are librarians who are activists who want that change. There are libraries digitizing heritage who want that change and who are challenging those barriers. And I also talked about how we can do this with the Wikimedia projects, how we can diversify the sources and access points through the campaign of the African Librarians Week, through the One Lib, One Ref, through Wikisource, adding documents there, through Wikidata, enriching the link data there, through Wikimedia Commons, adding videos or audios that can be taken from oral knowledge bearers, and through Wikipedia, adding books, adding references. I hope this talk gives you some ideas of all the ways we can partner, all the ways we can challenge those barriers, so we can really address an important matter, which is that the world needs African voices. Let's join African activists' sources. Let's join you. We need you. Here we have a beautiful image I took from all the champions of the African Librarians Week from so many different countries. Let's join forces, you, African activists, with the Wikimedia Project's resources and elevate those voices that need to be heard. Thank you so much. I hope this session gave you some ideas, some inspiration from the projects others have done. And I'm very grateful for this space. I'm very grateful I will be in Ghana, in Accra, at the Wikimedia conference there that AfLIA is organizing. And yes, I'm open to questions. Let me know. Thank you so much. Asante Oseimela. There's my email, by the way, in case you want to be in touch. I don't hear anything, but hello.
Yeah, hello.
Are you still there?
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, you are still here. We are still here.
Yes.
It's been an amazing ride. Very amazing. Honestly. Doreen is still here. I hope that her internet is not misbehaving as mine was doing at some point, but I don't know where to start, but I know that we'll get the slides and we'll share to everyone. And honestly, I got lost at a point. There was this map that you showed, and I wrote to Doreen, this is crazy. That's the map of Wikimedia editors in the world. And you look at Africa, and I wonder all these things that's been happening, all this time with Wikimedians, and yet see the small number. And there's really the need for more people to do things here, so that people will know that we exist and this is who we are and what we do and so on. And especially also about your interaction with fufu. You call it fufu. We call it fufu. Yeah. And that tells me that the world is a global village now. And if the knowledge about us is not there on a platform like Wikipedia, Wikidata, and so on, then it is our fault, not the world's fault. So that I got it from that. So I'll now hand over to Stanley. Hello, Stanley, are you there? Yes. Hello, Stanley. Yeah, yes. Great. Yes. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so there were a number of feedbacks that those that were questions we could respond to. I was doing that in the background whilst you were giving your presentation, Sylvia. But so someone is asking if we could have an email of the presenter. I think I already mentioned that after here, we're going to share the presentation slides. This session is also being recorded. And so the presentation slides will have all the information as has been shared by Sylvia, including her email address, and then all the links that she used for the presentation. And then when the recording is ready, we'll upload a recording of this session on AfLibWk's YouTube channel. And so you would always get the chance to re-engage with the contents as often as you wish. All right. So I don't know if there are any other remarks, comments, or questions for Sylvia before I go on to talk about the African Librarians Week and what the next steps will be for those who are here. Any questions?
I don't see any question there, so I think we can go ahead.
All right, fair enough. Thank you. So, yeah, last week we had our first meeting with champions, and that's good that we have. Sylvia, if you can pull down your screen sharing. All right, thank you. Yeah. So there are a few things that I wish to communicate with everyone here. We have, I think when we started, we got to about 68 attendees. We are 58 now. But before we sign off, I think you already know that we're going to be having the African Librarians Week starting the 14th to the 26th. Let me see if I can share the screen. And we're starting a bit earlier this year because, as you know, AfLibWk is going to be having Accra conference. And so we want to give people as much time and room to do their contributions within this year as possible. And we know that for us, a lot of attention will be required during the conference. And so we may not be, we'll need to just try to balance things up. So we have a lot of room this year for contributions and participation. I think you already know that this year's campaign, the theme for the campaign is African knowledge to the world. And it means that we have a lot of flexibility with whichever contents that we want to contribute, and then whichever content we want to engage with within the period of the campaign, right? And I think I mentioned in the WhatsApp groups and even with the champions meeting that this year, because we are running the Wikidata course, this year we are expecting to see a lot of contributions also on Wikidata. Yeah, and so for all of you that are here, who are here to sign up on the events dashboard, I would like for you to use this opportunity to do that. As at the last meeting we had with the champions, we've managed to get 24 editors here. This is the first of the general trainings that we're going to be having as part of the preparations for the campaign. And so we know that after here, we're going to have the numbers increase. But the campaign link, let me just share it in the chats. If you want to know anything about the campaign, please just go here, web.aflia.net/AfLibWk, or simply go to Google, right? Simply go to Google and then type African Librarians. It's going to bring you to that website. Just type African Librarians in Google and you are going to see the link or the URL, which is to the landing page for the African Librarians Week. And over there, you're going to see all the information that you need, information on how to participate. If you have any questions, usually we have some FAQs that sort of helps you to understand what the campaign is all about. And then a link to the dashboard, which is already embedded on the landing page, which is here. So once you click on this link, it sends you to the event dashboard, right? It's very easy to come by. But I'm going to also post the link directly in the chats for those of you who probably seeing that we have the event dashboard ready. This is the time to try to get your name and get yourself signed on to the dashboard. You simply click on it, and then as long as you have a Wikipedia account, the process is very simple. You log in and then you get added on. And so I'm hoping that all of us here, up to the 59 people in this room, will be able to sign on to this dashboard between now and tomorrow. And then the numbers will be matching up. I would like to say that for the campaign or for the competition within the campaign, which is from the 14th to the 26th, if you are not signed up onto this dashboard, we are unable to assess your contributions and then evaluate whether or not you deserve to be part of the top contributors. And so this is so important if you want to be part of the competition within the week, that you have to get yourself signed on to the dashboard. So when you go to the editors tab here, you would see those who have signed up already. And I'm sure that once you follow the instructions by clicking on the link that I put there, and then you follow the instructions, you'll be able to get yourself on this platform. And then when the dashboard begins to read contributions according to the time we have provided it, definitely everything you will do within the period will be counted and then evaluated. All right. I would also like to mention that I think we said it the last time, and for those of you who are seeing this for the first time, within the competition, the Wikimedia Foundation by the support of the Wikimedia Foundation, top contributors are going to be awarded shopping vouchers where they'll be able to go to the Wikipedia store and buy anything of their choice amounting to the voucher value that was given, depending on which category you fall in. And so for this year, this is an improvement upon last year, and thanks to the Wikimedia Foundation and Sylvia for facilitating this support for us. The first prize, or the topmost contributor, would be receiving a shopping voucher value of $100, and they can use it to buy t-shirts, whatever swags that they wish to purchase from the Wikimedia store, which would come branded with they are all Wikipedia paraphernalia. So $100 shopping voucher for the topmost contributor, and then there's a $70 shopping voucher for the second topmost contributor, and then the third would receive a $50 shopping voucher, and then the fourth and the fifth would also receive a $30 each. And I think we mentioned it the last time, and if you are not new to the campaigns or the African Librarians Week campaigns, we shortlist up to the top 30 contributors, and then each of them would receive a certificate of excellence according to the assessment. And then I think we mentioned it the last time in the champions meeting that all the active champions would also receive a certificate of appreciation, because they will help to facilitate and mobilize people for the campaign, training people, helping people, responding to questions within their country. And so they would also be acknowledged with a certificate of appreciation. And the champions' contributions are not excluded from assessment or evaluation when we are doing or when we are matching up the top contributors. So yeah, these are the things that we are all required to do. And so please would encourage everybody. The next training session is happening on the 2nd of May. Alice, the current course instructor for the Wikidata online project, and then Abel, the French facilitator, will be handling that. It's going to be in French and English on May 2nd. And so if you registered for this session, like I said, it's automatic. You're going to be getting reminders for the next session. You don't need to re-register for the next session. So bear that in mind. But thank you very much. I think I'll end it here. And then re-emphasize that try your possible best to enroll on the dashboard. For those who are pretty new and do not have a Wikimedia account yet, we have access to all the champions that we can direct you, and then they can guide you to do the needful. And so please, if you are new and you don't have any Wikimedia account, or you don't know your way around things and you want somebody to help you, please write to this email address I have put here. We would connect you with your country champion, and they can be of help. Yeah, so Dorian, I think I'll end it here. If there are any special questions, then they can open up, and then we can guide accordingly. Thank you very much. But please sign on to the dashboard. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Stanley. If you have any question or anything you wish to ask or contribute, you can raise your hand, or you can just type it in the Q&A or even in the chat box, and then we'll address it before we draw our curtains. All right, so going through the list, no new question. Okay, let me see, there's something. This is from Stanley. So Stanley has shared the link to the dashboard in the chat. Please, if you have not signed up on the dashboard, kindly click that link and then go and sign up there. Remember, once you have your Wikipedia account, you don't need to create any new accounts. The dashboard is linked to our Wikipedia account. And so once you have that, you just go in and it will ask you, go and log into your Wikipedia, and automatically it will bring you back to sign up to the dashboard. It is so easy to do. If you are new, like Stanley said, kindly contact your country champion or contact us and we will assist you in doing this.
Right, and I think earlier on, I saw someone raise an issue of a blocked account. Yeah, please, if you are experiencing that, and it is as a result of an ISP or allegations of an unsafe network that you're connected to, please let us know. Okay, usually they will block you and say you don't have a very safe network, probably because you're using a VPN or whatever. If you happen to be on any of the AfLibWk WhatsApp groups, let us know from there. Reach us directly from WhatsApp. But if you're not on any of the WhatsApp groups and you are struggling with a blockade, then you can write to us, and then if we see that it's something that we can help you resolve, we'll get you to do that. Are we having trainings on editing? Some of us are asked, yes. So apart from the 3 training sessions or the webinars that we've been lined up, we also have not less than 3 office hours that will be dedicated for teaching people the basics. Okay, the same thing, how to add a citation, how to contribute on Wikipedia if you want to create any other edits in terms of wiki links or paragraphing, all of those other things would guide you through that within the office hours that we have. And as time goes on, we're going to announce the specific days for that. So don't worry, just be part of the training sessions that we have lined up so that you'll be abreast with the next steps and the next steps and the next steps. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, let me see, I think there's a question. Can we have the WhatsApp group link? If possible, which country are you from? Because there are groups for countries, and then we have one group for the main champion. So if you're a new champion, then Zimbabwe. Okay, Zimbabwe, I'll check. But if you are a new champion, are you a champion? That is also another question. If you are a champion, then we can add you to the champions group. If you are from Zimbabwe, I don't think they have a group yet. So
yeah, but we can connect you to the non-Zimbabwe champion.
Yes, Antonetta and others can help you. It's good. It will be good if you can create one WhatsApp platform and then add AfLibWk staff on it so that we can also know what you are doing and how best we can assist you to make your editing good. So let me, okay. I don't know. Send a message, send a mail to aflibwk@aflibwk.net, and then we'll connect you to some of the Zimbabwe editors, and then you can take it up from there.
Yeah, I think we can wrap up now.
Yeah, okay, so let me see, there's another question here. Kindly type the email address. Okay, sure, let me type it here. AfLibWk.com. So that is the email address. You can send a mail to us, and then we will link you to the Zimbabwe editors for you to pick it up from there. Okay.
Hello, Doreen.
Yeah, Stanley, 1 minute. I'm answering somebody's question. Okay, so All right, I don't think we have any other concern to address. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. We'll draw our curtains here, and God willing, we'll meet again on the 2nd May for the next webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Dr. Thank you all for coming. Stanley, please, you can end the meeting.
All right. Yeah. Thank everybody. Thank you, Sylvia. If you are still online, thank you. We appreciate your attendance.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank you so
Sylvia.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone that came.
Bye.
And I hope that it will just be one person that is a champion in a country, because we need every African country to have at least up to 50 people on that dashboard. So if you look at the dashboard and you don't see your people there, please drag them and write to us, and then we'll see how all of you can be trained. Thank you very much.
Yay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Enjoy the rest of the week.